Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning. This is a very, very special day for the University of Maryland, and I'm very proud that you all have been able to join us for this very special presentation. I'm Ann Turcos. I'm the University of Maryland Archivist, and it's my pleasure to host the presentation this morning. We have a number of speakers who will be talking about the various aspects of Pyon Su's legacy and the importance of the presentation this morning. So I would like to start off by introducing our Vice President for Student Affairs, Linda Clement, who will accept the diploma on behalf of the university.
Thank you, Ann, and good morning to everyone. We're all so glad you could be here. On behalf of President Lowe and our leadership team, I'm pleased to welcome you and to say how thrilled we are to have this historic moment about to happen at the University of Maryland. I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you a bit about what we know about Pyon Su. And I would start by saying there have been 3 different pronunciations of his name over time. And so with your permission, I'm going to use Pyon Su as his name today. First of all, I will tell you that he first came to this country in 1883 as a part of the first Korean embassy that was in the U.S. in Washington, D.C. He began his work and traveled here for about a year before returning to Seoul in 1884. He returned to the U.S. in 1886 and began his tenure here by enrolling in the Berlitz Language School. He first came to the University of Maryland when we were the University of Maryland Agricultural College in 1887. He was part of a student body that numbered 46 in total, a far distant cry from where we are now. It was wonderful. He did graduate in 4 years, and his graduating class had 4 people in it. And so subsequently, this Maryland Agriculture College evolved into what is today the University of Maryland. I think it's important to note that he was the first Korean to enroll at an American university, and he's the first to graduate from an American university. So he really was an historic figure in our history at the University of Maryland and in the history of the United States. During his time on campus, he became close friends with Richard Calvert and the Ammon brothers, who were both members of prestigious Maryland families. Tragically, he died in College Park, and just a few months after graduation, he was only 32 years old. A life cut way too short. I know we would all acknowledge that. Richard Calvert was a pallbearer at his funeral and came to have possession of Pyon Su's original diploma. Thanks to the love and devotion of his friend, Pyon Su was buried in a Catholic cemetery adjacent to the Ammon family property in Beltsville, Maryland. He had a short life, and we all know, but a historic one and very important to the University of Maryland and to our relationship with Korea. So we are thrilled to be here at this historic moment and to accept this important document, which Ann tells me will be the earliest diploma that we have in our archives. So that's wonderful, and thank you to all who've been involved in this effort.
Thank you, Linda. I now ask Harold Pyon to come forward and talk about Pyon Su's legacy, and then Harold will present the diploma to Linda.
Thank you. I think this is a historical moment, and Pyon Su is the first to graduate any university outside of Korea, not just even United States, but also Europe. Any Korean out there in 1891. And this is a kind of a history paper for the Korean community in United States, but also in Korea. Also, it's a special meaning for the University of Maryland, the relationship with the University of Maryland and Korea. University of Maryland was early branch offices in Korea. So a kind of a history is going to tell, and this process is just a historical moment. I just have to explain to you how we come about and this diploma. Actually, that Korea is a turn of a century, is a turmoil. They have a 2 different view of Korea when become less accept the European style of culture, versus the old traditional culture in fighting. And that time, unfortunately, he born in that year, and he's the first person to actually see Europe and United States. So he reported to the king, and we needed to change the Korea. However, there are traditionalist conservative party. They rejected his view, and he had to be exiled from Korea. If you know that in Korea, our system, if you are against the government, you have to have 3 families all persecuted. So that's one of a great uncle is the Pyon Su. So they have a direct dissident in Korea, and his brother Pyon Su has one son. Unfortunately, he's passed away, so he adopted his brother's son to be his heir. So we have a couple generations later, and we have Pyon Su, Pyon Su in Korea. So we have a constantly communicate with the family matter. Before I explain this, how we discovered this paper was KBS 수요 기획. They have a documentary going on. Korean envoy Mr. Lee In-soo was a documentary film they had it previous. And the conversation I met in from Dokdo issue, and then we discussed about the Pyon Su, and Mr. Lee In-soo is a PD on the KBS documentary. Let's do Pyon Su document. This is kind of a historical moment in Korea. So we were looking at going into the archive. So and Tokus is really vital information on this Pyon Su issue. So he is a historian in the University of Maryland, but also he's really, I mean, University of Maryland has a treasure. I want you to know, Vice President. So she was helping me in great deal. And so we were tracking down the family member of Paul Bear. Actually, the reason was when he died, the Korean government denied him of existence because of he was the opposite party of that person. So Mr. Arman is Admiral Arman is a great friend of General Grant and President Grant, and also they have owned their cemetery. They put it into his grave and his Pyon Su's grave. So we thought Arman family have all his possessions. So we were looking at, and we couldn't locate it in Arman family. However, and Tokus recommended talking to Carver Museum, and because one of Paul Bear was Richard Carver. So we contact everybody. One day I got an email from Charlie Carver. He's a great-grandson of Richard Carver, and he bring the picture and his family. So when he come here, we have a documentary here, and then Mr. Lee In-soo, KBS, that the PD said, why don't you donate to Pyon family? And then Mr. Carver, Charlie Carver, yeah, here it is. And then he donated right on the spot. And then I told him that, oh, how did you keep this in 120 years? And he told me, oh, one of the drawers in there for a generation. Probably that drawer is a couple $1,000 that 120 years. And it was a perfect condition. So we were thinking about, our family was thinking about donating this very important document to National Museum of Korea or University of Maryland. We decided, so I contact within Korea, Mr. Pyon Su and Pyon Su, and their discussion and our discussion, I think the University of Maryland will be the best place forever and Pyon Su room. So this is a credit to a lot of people in the KBS, 수요 기획, 이인수, PD, and Antokos, and the Calvert Museum, and University of Maryland, and Pyon family. So this is a kind of a historical document, not even University of Maryland, but also in the Korea. So younger generations looking at this diploma in this room and looking at it, 1, 2 people making a big mistake, the direction of a country is going a completely different direction. At that time, Japan is inferior to Korea actually. But they have opened door policy in Japan. Instantly, Japan become a world power. Korea was really become a third world country. So I think since everywhere in this country, we have election this year. I think the decision is very important for next generation. So I hope this diploma, it will be a great asset to University of Maryland, but also the Korean American and the Korea. So I thank you for coming in this wonderful occasion, and I'm sure that all those Korea media, mainland Korea media is here. So I hope those medias advertise that and add it to the Korean people what what Pyon Su did it. He is actually 2 years earlier than Dr. Seo, and he lived longer than Seo. I mean, the Seo, Dr. Seo is live longer than Pyon Su. Pyon Su died at 32. Dr. Seo died at about 90-some years old. So Dr. Seo is a kind of a pillar of democratic Korea, and he's a well-known name, but he graduated 2 years later than Pyon Su. So I just want to make that point. And so thank you so much.
Thank you, Harold. And Linda, I think Harold's going to give you the diploma.
So I would just to open up, and this is a thank you to the Carver family to have so.
As Harold's taking this out, I will tell you that this is a document that's completely unique to the University Archives. We do have several other diplomas from students over the years, but we do not have any that predate 1900. So this is an extremely important document for the university and for us to have in the archives, and we're very, very excited to have this piece. Thank you so much, Harold.
This is in now is an Anne's end.
Yes.
Okay. And
Okay, we can just, I think, just let it lay gently on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something to make sure that it will stay flat. What I have also promised Harold is that, and Linda and Marcia here for the union, is that we will get a very high quality scan of this document and have it framed with a bit of information about Pyon Su and his importance to the university, so that that document can hang here in the Pyon Su room. We'll also make certain that it's preserved in the very highest security in the university archives. And we will make the scan available on our image repository so that people around the world can see this very, very special document and share in its importance.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Any question and answer for the media?
Yes. Do you want me to talk through the documents,
Sure,
Harold, first?
Yes. Why
Okay.
don't you do that, and the question and answer is a lot of people has a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Step aside.
Yeah. We had hoped that Charles Calvert, who had given the document to the Pyon family, would be able to join us today, but because we had to reschedule the event from Monday, Mr. Calvert was unfortunately not able to be here. But as Harold said, the diploma was passed down through the Calvert family. Charles Calvert is how many times great-grandson from our founder, Charles Benedict Calvert, so it is a very important connection for us to know that this came from the Calvert family. If you look at the account of Pyon Su's death that appeared in the Washington Post, you will see the list of pallbearers, of course, which includes Richard Calvert. And then it came down, of course, through the generations to now back to the university. So we're very, very excited. We did bring some documents from the University Archives today to share with you. And these will be available for you to take a look at after we finish our remarks. This is the original photograph that we have of Pyon Su, the only known photograph. This was actually found in personal papers from another one of his classmates, a man named Fletcher Beach, B-I-T-C-H. When we looked at Mr. Beach's papers, we were very excited to find this photograph. We knew immediately who it was. And if you look on the back, it says S10, MAC 91, killed by train at College Park. There are two photographs here of the barracks. This is the building in which Pyon Su would have lived. This was a multi-purpose building. It had dormitory space, a kitchen, a dining hall, a chapel, a library, and classrooms as well. This is one of the two buildings at the university that burned down in 1912. We will actually be celebrating or commemorating the 100th anniversary of that event toward the end of this month on November 29th. But this would have been the building in which Pyon Su lived while he was on our campus. The large book here is our student register. All of the students from our very first entering class in 1859 up through 1906 had to sign in to this book when they came to the university. I've opened it to the page where Pyon Su appears. You'll notice when you look at it that there's also another Korean student listed above him, a gentleman named Min Cho Ho. We have no idea what happened to Min Cho Ho, but we certainly know a lot about Pyon Su and his importance in Korea. The book here that's open is the article that Pyon Su wrote on the agriculture of Japan for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. He went to work for the Department of Agriculture after his graduation in June 1891 and prepared this report. It was published as an official U.S. government document. And this volume is actually in our collection in the Keldon Library. The three smaller books here at the back are our course catalogs from 1887, 88, 88, 89, and 89, 90. And again, I've opened those to the page where Pyon Su's name appears among our list of students. The photocopy that's here will actually show us the location of the train station in College Park where Pyon Su was killed. If you're familiar at all with the area and with the green line of the metro, it's actually the same place where the metro runs through today, where the MARC train, the commuter train, stops in College Park. But we did bring that map as well. So I'm happy for you all to enjoy looking at the documents, and if there are any questions, I'm sure that Harold or Linda or myself would be happy to respond.